Welcome to Home Team Advantage. I'm Gary Gimbetti along with Mike Egan, and we got a lot of stuff to talk about here. High school, college, professional. I suppose we could start Minnesota Twins.
Did I miss something?
Well, no, but they better get on the ball here and start spending some money. I mean, they need a shortstop, which Correa is still out there.
Yep. I think he's going to come back. I really do. I think they're going to make him a 4 to 6 year offer, and it won't be like Aaron Judge, $300 million, whatever he got. But I think the Twins are going to go and try to keep him.
Well, you know, a lot of those rumors on Twitter and stuff would have been like Xander Bogaerts, but he just signed with San Diego. So, you know, I heard that this morning. This state is so just settles for mediocrity. And this isn't my take. I heard this morning on KFan, and the guy who said it is right. Mediocrity. We don't do anything, and we sit there and we don't. But what are we going to do about it? We can't do anything about it. That's all on the owners.
It is to a point. I mean, I think in Minnesota, if you put a winning program, just like the Minnesota Twins did back in, '87 and '92, that you're going to get the support from the community, and that carries you over for a couple more years, and then you have a downtime, and then we're right back to the same old stuff. Look at the Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings are 10-2,
Mm-hmm.
and they'll go to Detroit and lose this Saturday, or Indianapolis or Detroit.
No, they're going to
playing.
Detroit, yeah.
And open the door for Green Bay to get back into it.
Well,
that's the negativity that you hear all the time about the Minnesota sports. You can go right down the line. The Wild haven't been playing all that well. The Timberwolves aren't playing all that well. Soccer, that's done, but they didn't do very well either. So there is a point to what you're saying, but it's up to the owners to spend the money to get the players here. But in the long run, you and I as a fan are going to end up paying the tab.
that's it. And but the only way to not pay the tab is to not go to the games if they're not going to do anything. Hey, spend the money, be good, contend for playoffs, World Series, Super Bowls, whatever. And fine, pay the money to go watch them play. But to just, because like I was mentioning, I totally got off track, but Xander Bogaerts was one of the names banding around, and now he signed with San Diego. They haven't been afraid to spend the money. Who have they picked up over the last 6 months? I can't even remember. Well, they got Machado and they have Tatis already there, but then they went out and got that Juan Soto from Washington, traded for him. Now they have Bogaerts.
And I can't believe they have a better facility to play in than the Minnesota Twins do.
No, there's no way, except obviously it's a lot nicer weather down there.
Oh, yes, San Diego. If you want to live anywhere, live in San Diego, because the weather is probably the most beautiful year-round it is anywhere in the country. So
that's right. But his name was banding around. There's a pitcher, I think Carlos Rodon or something. His name's been bandied around.
Isn't that the guy from the Godzilla movie?
Maybe, yeah, I don't know. Could be. But his name's been bandied around, and then Carlos Correa obviously hasn't decided yet where he wants to go. It could be between Minnesota or San Francisco, from what I understand. So, I mean, they number one, they need a starting pitcher, a number one starting pitcher. We've known that for how long?
Yeah, for years.
Yeah. Not that I don't think that Joe Ryan could be that guy. I don't know. Maybe he's not going to be that guy. Maybe he'd be a good number 2 or number 3. But please, give us something to at least be hopeful for come February when spring training starts. And
what'd they get for Sano?
Nothing.
Nothing.
No.
So all that money and all that hype that they leaped on him for years and years, and now he's not even. They just released him, right?
Yeah, and I don't know. I haven't heard that he's been picked up by anybody. No. So maybe if I'm wrong, please somebody tell me. But
he's probably going to go back and play in the Puerto Rican B League somewhere.
Well, and it's just unfortunate because this guy should have been.
Could have been.
Yeah, I mean whether he hit 300 or not was one thing, but hit 250 and hit 35 to 40 home runs a year. I mean, that's all you could ask for him, but he couldn't even hit over 100.
Well, he couldn't even hit the ball.
Well,
I mean,
so it's like, I mean, that's just sad. I mean, because if you figure he would have had a decent year last year, the Twins probably would have been a lot better. But they strike out too much, and that's on hitting coaches. Sorry, you got to get these guys to lay off that breaking stuff when it's not in the strike zone. Now, is it easy to do? No.
I mean, it's easy for us to say because we're sitting here, but one of the problems I see with the Minnesota Twins is, and as you just mentioned it, Gary, is that they get up to bat and they get into that Joe Mauer mode where the first two pitches they're looking. I mean, the guy's going to throw you a strike the first pitch if he's a good pitcher, and you sit there and watch the ball go by. Oh well.
Yeah. And again, they're trained. They hit 95 to 100 mile an hour fastballs. Yep. I mean, that's what they've done their whole lives is they've done that. Now, again, it's not easy to do, but for a guy like me or you, we couldn't go up there and do it. I'll be the first to admit it.
No, I wouldn't even get in the box.
No, I would go in the box just to see what it's like.
Until I get hit.
But again, we couldn't do it. But these guys are trained athletes, trained players. They've seen these fastballs over and over again.
Yep.
I mean, at least if you're going to go out, like ground out or fly out or line out or something.
Just hit the ball somewhere.
Yeah, just hit it. I mean, you can do it. That's the thing. I mean,
well, you never know. If you hit a ground ball, you never know what's going to happen. The guy could throw it, or you can make an error. You put the pressure on the other team to make the mistake, and you produce a run. I mean, we don't play little ball. You don't bunt the ball. We're first, the other was it first and second, and nobody out, and they're trying to hit home runs. I mean, it just.
Yeah, especially like with the extra inning thing, I think is gone after this when this next year starts.
Yeah, the second. Yeah, they're not.
But when you have a guy on second, no out, and you need a run, you bunt him over and try to get the run in.
Right.
Now, if you can't do that, that's fine. But get the guy to third base with less than 2 out, and you got a chance.
Well, it's pretty sad. It's 15 below, and we're complaining about the Twins.
Well, it's the fun time of year for baseball with the winter meetings going on and maybe some trades and some free agent signings. And then you see, like you said earlier, the Judge re-signs with the Yankees. I would have loved to have seen him gone somewhere else. And I know it wouldn't have been here, but nobody else wanted to make a play for him. I mean,
well, with that $15 billion surplus we have at the state coffer, you could afford Judd.
Yeah, more than likely. But yeah, so that's just Minnesota Twins do something, sign somebody, because if you're going into the next season with this outfit you've got going in, you're not going to contend for a title.
Would let's just say they go with the same guy. Let's say they get Correa, and they still produce the same record they had this year, next year. Does the manager go then?
I don't know.
Does Rocky Balboa go to Rocky movie number 6?
But they're tied. He and Falvey and Levine are tied together. I mean, it's going to be hard for them, I think, to.
Well, those two owners, the two guys that came in to run the team, they're supposed to be hot shot, guys. They know all the ins and outs of baseball, and they haven't produced.
No, not yet.
No.
I mean, they've had we're always decent regular season, and then playoffs come along. And, what did I hear to segue into the Vikings? I heard that they're probably one of the better regular season teams in the history of football, and I don't think you can deny that because their record is well over 500. But now,
come playoff
time, I mean, I know they're 0 for 4 in Super Bowls.
Yeah.
They are in NFC championship games. I bet they're like, since 1977 or 6 was the last time they went. Since then, they're probably like 1 or 0 and whatever.
Yeah.
Because they haven't been to the Super Bowl since 76 or 77.
Well, the closest they came was Brett Favre, wasn't it, when they beat New Orleans beat them?
98, when Anderson missed that kick.
Right.
Which would have put him in the Super Bowl. And then 2009, well, we all know what happened during 2009. It wasn't because they played crappy in that game. They played pretty good.
Yep.
And got hosed a little bit. I'm not going to bring that up with officials. Sorry.
It's funny you mention it. I just read an article. They were talking about that the other night, and there's an article in the paper about it. I can't remember what paper, but anyways, about how the officiating is rigged in the NFL.
Well, there, and I'm sorry, the NBA. I'm sorry. They're so thin-skinned in the NBA. I mean, that night that Gobert got kicked out, and then D'Angelo Russell got 2 technicals and got ejected. Those NBA referees have thin skin.
Oh.
I'll tell you, and they make the most brutal calls. I'll say it here. I don't care. They make the brutal calls, and you see. And then I saw a call on or a replay on Twitter where this Jordan Clarkson just got hammered. I don't know if that and somebody else mentioned that too after I brought it up, but he got hammered and there was no call.
No call.
So there's something going on, and I'm sorry, I don't think there's gambling or anything like that, but these guys have to get better. I mean, they're getting good money to referee these games.
Oh yeah. Well, unfortunately, I can't comment on that because I don't watch the NBA.
Well, yeah, but that's not even in NHL. I get it's weird. They call penalties when they feel like calling them because they're cross-checking every second they get when there's a scrum along the boards.
So, are you telling me that there's within the leagues there's favoritism as far as what team should win and which team should not win?
No, I'm not going there.
Okay.
I won't go there, but no, I'm not going there.
I'm sure there's a statistic out there that shows that some teams don't get the same calls that other teams get, or more calls.
If somebody wanted to look deep into that, they probably would find that out. Well, we know there's quarterbacks in the league in the NFL that get more calls for them than against them.
Could we elaborate and say Aaron Rodgers is probably the most?
Yeah, there's one. There's a guy down in Tampa Bay. When he was with New England, probably got a call. I don't know if he's getting any more calls.
The GOAT?
Yeah. So
came back the other night.
There's a few.
Scored 2 touchdowns in less than 2 minutes or whatever it was.
And all you have to do is watch the games.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very obvious sometimes what the calls they make.
Well,
a big, and it's nothing to do with quarterbacks, but a big play comes out. You have a big play and holding. Yeah. When you can hold on every play in the NFL.
Oh yeah.
When a big play comes up, holding.
Bring it back. Try it again.
So, and that has nothing to do with the Vikings. That's just throughout the NFL.
Yeah.
So,
well, at least the Vikes have made it interesting. They wait until the fourth quarter.
Well,
their fans are sitting on the edge of their seat wondering. But now, if they're behind, everybody thinks they're still going to win in the fourth quarter. If you don't, then they're bums. So,
boy, yeah. But they're not going to go. They're not going to go 16-1.
Well, they already lost 2.
Or 16, and they're not going to go 15-2.
Yeah.
So they're going to lose.
You think so?
2 or 3 more games.
I think they're going to lose to Detroit.
Well, that is going to bring
Detroit
that up.
always gives them trouble.
And Detroit's not playing all that poorly right now.
No.
Yeah. So they could. I mean, certainly, but they need to put a full game together.
Yeah.
That third quarter that happened last year, it's happening this year. That they do fairly well in the first half, and then they come out in the third quarter and lay an egg.
Yep.
Then in the fourth quarter, fortunately, they don't, because that's where they've won most of their games.
So would you consider is the offense playing better than the defense, or is the defense holding up the offense?
No, the defense is definitely not.
Yeah.
But again, I heard Ed Donatel. I mentioned that doesn't matter how many yards you give up; it's not points.
Just don't give them any points.
But and to be fair, they held. Who did they play last week? The Jets to 3 or 4 or 5 field goals.
Yep.
When they got it down inside, or at least when they got in the red zone.
Yep.
So maybe he's got a point there. Maybe it doesn't matter how many yards you give up, as long as you don't give up touchdowns.
Yeah, they get into the red zone and they hold an opponent to 3 points or less. I guess you're doing your job. So.
Mm-hmm. So that's hey, maybe. I wish they'd just be like the Bears, 85 Bears. Just shut team. When do we ever have an offense and a defense working simultaneously together?
Well, the mindset was different. They knew they could win, the Bears, and they intimidated and out muscled everybody. We don't have that.
Mm-hmm.
They really don't. We don't have the Michaels or the who's the trying to think of their quarterback. Well, Refrigerator Perry,
Walter Payton, and then
Walter
Jim
Payton
McMahon.
and Jim McMahon. You know,
Yeah.
and the attitude was we know we can beat you. We just got to show up and get on the field and do it.
Yeah.
And I don't think the league has changed that much. That you still got to have that mentality where you want to beat the other guy across the other line from you. So
Well, look, when the Ravens won it, they didn't have an offense,
no,
but their defense was fantastic.
yep,
And that's just something here that when Denny Green was here, he never had a defense. That guy could have probably won maybe 2 or 3 Super Bowls with the offenses he had, but there was never a defense. And it was showed in that Atlanta game.
yep.
They had the lead and could not shut them down in the final 2 minutes of the
Well,
game.
they do that prevent defense.
No.
That's prevent your team from winning.
That's the saying that goes around now every time we go on that prevent.
All right. Well, we got the Twins out of the way. The Vikings are out of the way. The Wild aren't playing too well either. And although Kaprizov is having a good year so far,
17 goals.
you know,
I mean, that's getting up there.
Kid's amazing, and he's so quick though. His shot it's just like it's not even on his stick before it's in the net.
Yeah.
But you're going to have a tough year, and we'll see what happens. And I mentioned right before we went on the air, there was the commentary on the NHL Network last night was who's going to compete with the Colorado Avalanche. I mean, they're still winning games. They got 9 guys they're starters that are sitting, and nobody will make a prediction. And then the one guy goes, "Well, let's just see what happens after the trade deadline." So. We'll see.
Who they pick up, yeah.
Is Fleury gone? Is he?
No, I think they're sticking with him for the whole year. Maybe we'll have to have Micheletti on again. See what he'll get his thoughts again. Now that we're a quarter of the way through, or at least a third of the way through the year.
Yeah.
So
I think they're 12, 10 and 2 or something like that, whatever their record is. So yeah, it's
boy, it just flies by, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It seems like they just started.
Yep.
All right, well, we take care of that. We talked about
the
the
Timberwolves
and that
playing pretty well without the cat.
Yeah, well, they didn't play well against Oklahoma City.
No.
They won the first game without him, and then they got the Oklahoma in here, who they should have beaten I think they played them 3 times, and I think they lost to them at least once. They should beat that team every day of the week and twice on Sunday.
Beat Indiana last night, and Rudy Gobert had, 21 rebounds?
21 rebounds.
That's pretty amazing for one guy.
But you know what? And I don't know if Chris Finch can do this or not, and it seems so like you're dealing with a bunch of young children. But I think he has to lay the law down with these guys and tell them no more whining.
You gonna tell the cat that?
Well, yes. And I would lay the law down, no more whining. You know you're going to get bad calls. Just pick yourself up.
Get out and play.
Get out and play. And quit all this nonsense, like tripping guys. No, I didn't see it, so I don't know how blatant it was. Or the technical fouls. You know it's going to happen.
Yep.
You know the officiating's bad. Just play the game the way you're supposed to play it. And then let everything else. Let Chris Finch do. I don't want to call it whining from him, but let him take care of those matters.
Fishing. Let him work the officials.
Yeah, and you guys keep your mouth shut. Just play the game.
Yep.
I mean, to me, it's getting sickening. I know there's bad calls, but you know what? You're not going to do anything about it.
Well, pull up your shorts and go play the game. I mean, if you're going to sit there and whine, like you said, it's just made it uncomfortable for fans to watch a game when all they're going to do is whine back and forth about not getting a call, and then the fans get on the refs, and it's just you're getting paid $10 million to play basketball. Play basketball.
Yeah, block out everything else.
Yep.
Play the way you're supposed to play, and I think this team would be a lot better for it. But every time they let an official get in their head, it's not going to help them on the court. So please, just play the game. Quit whining.
And you're 7'2", or how big is the cat?
Well, he's
7'1"?
probably about 7 feet tall, 7'1".
7 foot tall, big, stocky. And you're going to let these little guys push you around and make you whine? I mean,
Yeah. Well, and then some.
what do they
I
say,
mean,
grow some, what do they call it, cojones, and
Cojones.
play the game?
yeah. No, I get. Cat does commit some not so smart fouls. I mean, the fouls he gets offensively on setting picks.
Yep.
That's got to. I mean, you know how to set a pick. You played basketball for 27, 28 years. Set the pick right and don't worry about. You should never get a foul called if you're setting a pick, because you know how to set it. You know
Yep.
what's legal and what isn't. You know, some of the defensive ones. Well, those are. I don't know what you want to say. Those are you're going to get those
Yep.
because sometimes you're going to flail away on a block and you're going to hit a guy. I get it, but the offensive fouls he gets are the ones that drive you crazy. And I'm sure it drives Finch crazy too. Any offensive foul that anybody commits probably drives him crazy.
Well, like my coach used to tell me, move your feet.
You know, that's, you know what,
Move your feet.
if you're barreling down the middle of the lane to go in for a dunk, you know there's going to be a guy standing there, so maybe pull up and take a jump shot,
Yeah.
or pass it and not run into a guy. I'm sorry, it's not that hard.
You know, you're kind of getting off tangent here, but that's another rule I don't understand in the NBA. They've got that little half circle, and if you're inside that one, it's charging, but if you're outside that, it isn't.
It can be.
Yeah.
Well, it's either way. If you're outside of it, it's either way. It depends if you're moving or not.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you're inside of it, it's automatic. You can't touch anybody from inside that arc.
Well, like I said, the NBA is not the same since Larry Bird and Jordan and those guys played. That's when basketball was fun to watch. But
All
all right,
right.
let's get back to what's going on at the high school.
High school level, boys hockey team tied Duluth Denfeld 3-3 Tuesday night. That's, to me, I don't know how the coaches felt about it. I haven't talked to them yet, but to me that's a positive sign because Denfeld's been beating us up pretty bad over the last few years. So to go down to the Heritage Center and to tie them 3-3, that's to me I'd take that.
It's a moral victory. Right?
Yeah. Hey, you didn't lose. You got a tie. It looks like you played well. Of course, I did notice, and here we go again. Duluth had 3 penalties for 6 minutes. We had 6 penalties for 12 minutes. And
You kids from the range.
and their tying goal was on the power play.
Yeah.
So in the third period. So again, there you go. But take it, read into that what you want. But that's to me that's a good sign. These kids are playing better.
Yep.
They're competitive. They have good goaltending. Their defense is good, and now they're starting to score some goals.
Good.
So it could be a very fun season coming up.
Yeah. If they can continue it now, they play. What's today? Thursday.
They play Friday against Rochester Mayo, I believe, here, and then they play Saturday against Red Wing here. So if you want to come out and see the boys play, those are two games. The girls play Cloquet Esco Carleton tonight on Thursday night. If this gets out in time, which I'm sure our producer will probably get it out.
He's over there whining right now,
Yeah, well.
shaking his head.
But so we're supposed to play Duluth Marshall on Tuesday night.
He just mumbled something to me like something you.
Well, yeah, we don't have it. We got to get earplugs in so we can hear what what he's telling us.
Oh, I'm number one now.
Yeah. But they were supposed to play Marshall Tuesday, but evidently Marshall was sick,
Okay.
so they didn't come up. Don't tell me stuff like that's going to start happening again. That doesn't sound good. But the Marshall girls basketball team came up here to play the girls, or the Hibbing, on Tuesday, and the girls lost to them. One of the Hilltoppers girls hit her 1,000th point in the game. Wow. So that's good for, and they're young. I looked at their roster. I mean, there's like one senior.
Or
Marshall. So it's they're going to be. They've been good for the last 4 or 5 years at least. So more power to them.
a dynasty in the making.
Yeah, they've been really good. Otherwise, though, Hibbing did get that first. Girls did get that first win against Irondale. So at least they got that off. They got that off. They don't have to worry about that anymore. Boys basketball opens the season tomorrow at Superior. Well, hopefully things go well.
Yep. Well, I think you said their first 3 games are away, so.
And against good teams.
Yeah.
So they're going to be put through the gauntlet right away. So good luck to them and to Coach Ani as he begins his first season on the bench. Wrestlers did fairly well down at that tournament at Foston Bagley. The Tuesday night they wrestled Aiken and got beat, say 45-30. But again, one too many forfeits.
Yeah.
Guys didn't make weight. There's still some holes to fill. So
I
hopefully
think they'll be all right. They got 6 kids that are back from last year, so I think again, that's just somebody gets sick or somebody doesn't make weight. It makes it tough for a team to win, but they'll be all right.
No, they'll be in. And Boucher's still not back. He broke his arm or something, or wrist in football. But
how'd the
I think
girls'
in 2 weeks.
wrestling program do?
I did not hear how they did. They went to a tournament, I think, last weekend, like in Hastings or someplace, but I did not hear. But you know what? There's only 5 of them there, but I wish all 5 of them the best, because that's really exciting for them.
Oh yeah.
And hopefully maybe they can bring some friends out next year, and maybe they can if they fill 13 weights or whatever it is. I don't know what it's going to be. I'm assuming it's the same as boys wrestling.
Well, it should be interesting, and it's something that you wouldn't expect of a girls' wrestling program.
Yeah. But Emma Platt did wrestle Tuesday night at 120 for the boys, because they needed to fill that spot, so they put her in there. And I know Aiken had a couple of girls. They didn't wrestle them in the varsity meet, but they did wrestle them in the JV meet. Good. So it's a growing sport.
Yep. Swimming
hasn't. They start I believe today at the lake, down at the Lake Superior, some meet, I think, in Superior they start. So they're going down there.
Yep.
Skiing doesn't start, I don't think, until the 23rd. I think they have their first meet, which we talked about when I saw them the other day. That's a really weird time to have a meet.
Yeah.
2 days before Christmas.
Yeah.
But you know what?
Hey.
At least they have the snow and the cold, and
right.
they're going to get out there and have a good season for them too.
Weather predicts it, so
I think that.
We got everything covered?
Yeah, I think so.
College real quick?
College men play this weekend at home against Anoka Ramsey in Riverland, I think. And we do have some stuff going on. Are we too late?
Community
Stuff.
Yuletide Festival this afternoon.
The Yuletide Festival is this afternoon at the library. The city band and the cellos are playing.
Does that mean I'm number 1 that signal you're giving 1 minute left? Is that it?
I know we're going over our time limit.
And then on the 13th, it's the Stephanie's Dance Shop Toys for Tots fundraiser at Lincoln.
The 13th is the Stephanie's Dance
Toys for Tots.
Shop, Toys for Tots.
Yep.
At the Lincoln.
6:30.
At 6:30.
Okay.
Is there a band concert or choir concert?
Nothing until after the next show.
Okay.
Okay.
So.
All
right. Well, for Mike Egan and I'm Gary Gimbetti, thanks for watching, and we'll see you again next week.
Hibbing Public Access Television would like to thank U.S. Bank for providing us with studio space.